water. Alrighty. My first TikTok live. I've never done this before, so bear with me. Okay. I just wanted to come on here and I have some things I want to talk about, and we're also going to pull some cards. So happy Friday. Happy Friday. Happy Gemini season. We are in the season of social interactions, mental clarity, healthy communication, all that good stuff. All that good stuff. Okay, I'm not bringing nobody onto the live today. I'm just, we're going to talk a little bit about astrology and kind of wrap up what the energy around May is doing for us. And then I'm going to pull some cards so we can get some extra guidance and clarity. But the energy this week is really like, if you've been following my TikTok videos, I've been talking a lot about, the mental clarity that came in this week. I've been talking a lot about some of the astrological placements that have been happening this week. We've had a lot of sextiles and trines, and basically a lot of things happening around mental clarity, a lot of things happening around heightened intuition, a lot of things happening around what your mental process is doing at this time. Okay, it's like the collective is currently going through like a how do I say, like a mental upgrade at this time, where so many things are happening all at once, but it's coming in to give you clarity. So, especially since Aries season, because Aries season was kind of tumultuous for the collective, right? We went through so many different things, and not just, on an individual level, but I think on a collective scale more so, because we're all connected. So many of us shifted all at one time together in Aries season. And Aries season was real big for us. We had that stellium, we had the new moon in Aries, and by the time Mars transited into Aries, there was like so much momentum and there was so many things going on at the time that we all kind of shifted at one time. And when we all shifted at one time, it was like we finally had the opportunity for us to like put things into action, right? From, I would say, January up until April, it was very kind of stagnant. Okay, we did have Mercury retrograde earlier this year as well. So we went through all of these things that brought us to like a space of, okay, now this is what I want to do. So earlier this year, before we came to Aries season, it was like, we wasn't in that New Year's energy yet, because, New Year's doesn't actually start until March, right? Until the spring equinox. So once we actually came to that spring equinox, once we actually came and was engulfed in that energy, that's when all of our new beginnings started to show, right? Started to come online and started to present things to us in a way that we started to, gain more clarity and or be more creative based on how we wanted to move forward, the new foundations we wanted to create for ourselves. You could have been creating a new identity, detaching, healing, finally realizing that there was a need to grieve in a particular space that you were in at that time. So Aries season brought us so much. It was so much like, I don't even want to call it toxic energy. It was just so much energy around. There's a need for me to move forward. There's a need for me to move out of this space. There's a need for me to get up and do something, right? Because Aries is an action oriented sign. And when we were in that season, we had so many things going on that kind of disrupted us. However, that disruption was coming in to help us see, like, okay, this is exactly the type of momentum that we need at this point, right? So when we had that new moon in Aries, especially, I would say even a lot of it started when Mars transited into Aries, because it was so much action and it was so much passion and motivation, you know? And I've been talking a lot about, if you've been following my videos, like, you know, when Mars transited into Aries, depending on what your intention was at that time, or depending on what you were doing at that time, now that we're in Pluto retrograde, this is kind of bringing us some karmic balance, in karmic retribution, karmic reconciliation, karmic justice, whatever you want to call it. But whatever it is that you were doing, so if you can think back to April 9th, okay, whatever it is that you were doing around April 9th when Mars transited into Aries is going to reflect how Pluto retrograde at this time is going to give you certain revelations, or just how certain things are. Thanks, Cherie. So it's like, as we are in this space in Pluto retrograde, by the time Pluto goes direct in October, I think it'll be October 15th, we are going to have so much even more clarity. But the things that we were doing around that April 9th Mars and Aries transit is really going to determine what that energy is going to look like around Pluto going direct. Just for the simple fact that when Pluto goes direct, it's going to be in Libra season. So now this is bringing Pluto going direct. Just for the simple fact that when Pluto goes direct, it's going to be in Libra season. So now this is bringing us out, you know, were you doing things out of ego? Were you spiritually led? Were you following your intuition? Were you using your discernment? If you were in a place of alignment during that time, you're going to start receiving like some karmic rewards or some karmic justice once Pluto goes direct in Libra season. And if not, if you were operating in ego, or, you know, just having negative, I don't even want to say negative, because you could have been impulsive at that time and probably didn't even know what was going on during April 9th, right? So a lot of the things that were happening at that time, everybody just had so much energy and so much momentum to get up. I don't really think that they realized what they were doing was creating karma for them in the future. It was just the energy that we were in was like, whoa, okay, now it's here and I can get up and move and I have some momentum and we're going to move this way. However, that way that you move might not have been the direction that you needed to be in. So now that we're in Pluto retrograde, it's really going to allow us to look back and think of not just April 9th, but past decisions, past actions. And if you watch my video that I did about Pluto retrograde, it's giving Assassin's Creed energy. If you ever played that game, right? You go into the Animus, you get, you know, it's like you're going back in time, because that's what the Animus is, right? And the Animus is also the psyche part of your, it's like an archetype of your psyche, right? So you're diving into that ancestral memory and really learning and having a better understanding of your patterns, your behaviors, some of your habits, your addictions, your vices, that type of thing, and being able to kind of rectify that and understand, like, okay, if this isn't my fear, or if this isn't my action, maybe this is something I inherited from a passed on loved one, right? And in the game Assassin's Creed, you know, you go into the Animus to be able to complete the missions, but it's that ancestral memory. You know, the main character Ezio, right, was getting the little breadcrumbs from his ancestors to teach him or to show him how he needed to operate, how he needed to move, and it was going to determine how the game was going to play out for him. But I feel like that's what Pluto retrograde is doing for us right now, especially because Pluto is a generational planet and it has a lot to do with death and transformation and rebirth and all of that. By the time we get to Libra season, when Pluto goes direct, we're going to be coming right into Scorpio season, you know, and a couple weeks ago when we had it was on May 1st, we had the full moon in Scorpio. I posted that it felt very Day of the Dead-ish. Like there was a need to honor our loved ones. There was a need to honor something within us that goes deeper than us and straight into our bloodline. So May right now, we're like wrapping things up over these next couple of weeks. We're closing things out for May. And May 1st, we had the full moon in Scorpio, which opened up a portal for us to have better understanding, for us to have these realizations. Some of you probably went through tower moments with the full moon in Scorpio. You know, I talked a lot about giving yourself the opportunity to release and detach and grieve and all of that. And I even mentioned about doing like living funerals, right? Where you are creating a ceremony and or ritual around you detaching and putting to rest the old version of yourself. So in that space of ritual around you detaching and putting to rest the old version of yourself. So in that space of pretty much energy, you know, Empress energy is you being magnetic. You're not forcing anything, right? You're procreating with the universe, but you're regulating your nervous system. You're safe enough for you to be able to receive things that are meant for you in this new space now, right? And so I feel like if you went through tower moments and or spiritual awakenings or just any kind of, you know, unexpected changes during that full moon in Scorpio that we had on the 1st, it was bringing you to having a better understanding of what you need to do in that space in order for you to come into your new beginning, right? And so that's what the new moon in Taurus was allowing us to do. Have an opportunity for new beginnings, have an opportunity for new experiences, right? Especially in this physical realm, because Taurus is a earth sign, right? So it's all about this physical life, your reality, and, you know, how you can bring a material abundance for yourself, you know, and for us to be in this realm, when we came here, we are meant to master our abundance. Our birthright is abundance. We came here to experience the best of what life can give us. And that's Taurus energy, you know, being comfortable and having your time and leisure and, you know, luxury and opulence and all those great things. And now that we're wrapping up May, May is really, you know, it's a special time because we have 2 full moons in the same month, which don't normally happen. So we had the full moon on the 1st, which was the full moon in Scorpio. And now coming up on the May 31st, I believe, yes, the last day of May, we're having this full moon in Sagittarius, which is considered a blue moon. So if you've ever heard of the phrase once in a blue moon, this rare blue moon is going to be the best time for you to begin manifesting things into your life. And I talked about that with the new moon in Taurus. Some of you might be trying to manifest things. However, you're still in a space where you need to detach, you need to heal, you need to come to certain realizations to understand why it's hard for you to attract, or why it's hard for you to understand your level of deserving and worth and all of that. Because right now the universe is looking at us like, okay, get it together. We want to provide for you. We want to give you all of these wonderful things that is aligned for you. You just have to get out of your head about what you think you deserve, what you think you want, and having discernment between your wants and your needs at this time. You know what I mean? And I know I'm so excited for you to go on vacation. That's so wonderful. That's so wonderful. And that's the thing about Gemini season 2 is like travel. You know, you being able to so the blue moon is going to be on May 31st, and that's going to be a Sagittarius blue moon. Okay. Now for me, for example, for me, I have a Scorpio stellium and a Sagittarius stellium. So this entire month is helping me. No problem. You're welcome. This whole month is helping me embody what that Scorpio and Sagittarius energy is for me to be authentic, right? So kind of if you understand your birth chart, or even if you don't, look up your birth chart, and you can even ask ChatGPT, or, you know, sit in meditation and ask your guides what this month is doing for you and how it's, you know, reflecting your birth chart, how it's affecting you due to certain alignments that are currently happening at this time, you know. Especially this week, if you go back on my page, I posted a lot about all these trines, sextiles, Today we actually have a Uranus Cazimi in Gemini. So now we have all of these things that's coming in with this Gemini season that is, allowing us to have all this mental clarity and allowing us to have just, a better understanding of the direction that we're moving in, right? Gemini season is also about polarity, duality, that cause and effect. So now you might be reflecting back on some of the things that you did, and maybe you're not happy about it. Maybe you feel a little shameful about it. Maybe you have to go into that shadow realm and do that shadow work and connect with those different parts of your persona. You know what I mean? And that's been coming up for me a lot lately too, is like, the different archetypes of our psyche, right? Especially like, for me, the animus. So for men, you tapping into your anima is going to be the opposite sign of your consciousness. You know what I mean? Like, for women, it's the animus. So we are tapping into our animus at this time to help us with our masculine side. And I'm trying to get a better understanding of that. It's like it's a Jungian theory from Carl Jung, if you're not familiar with him. He actually implemented a lot of psychology and, some spiritual concepts in things for you to have a better understanding of what psychology really is and how it pertains to the psychic, like to the psyche mind. Ever since I was young, I remember when I was a young girl, my mom went to school for psychology. That was part of her, like one of her classes. And I was like in elementary and middle school, and I used to read through the book and was just so fascinated when it comes to things of the mind. And a few years ago when I was vegan, I actually studied neurology. I don't know why, I was just called to it. That was the beginning of my spiritual awakening. So I learned about different processes in the brain, how your neurons work, and, how, and not only that too, but when I became vegan at that time, it was like I was understanding what the food was doing to us on like a psychological level, you know what I mean? And so through me learning a lot about that, as I came into understanding Reiki, it made a lot of sense that as now me being a Reiki master, me having knowledge on anatomy and certain parts of the brain, I just knew it already because my guides already put me in that space to gain that knowledge, right? And that's why I like air sign seasons a lot, because it's a lot of analytical thinking. It's a lot of like, trying to be strategic around certain things that you're trying to do, and especially gaining research or trying to do something new for the first time. I'm a Sagittarius sun, but I'm also a Libra rising. So your rising sign is what you want to embody it more so in this lifetime. That's the manifestation of your wholeness, right? And as an air sign, I tend to move a lot into, being very airy and being in my head. And sometimes I could be a little, overthinking, which is a Libra quality. But with me being a Sag sun, I love philosophy. I love reading things of, historical reference and just how it all ties together in our spiritual journey in this simulation that we're currently in, right? So as we're closing out May, it's really helping us have a better understanding of who we are and, how we want to create these new opportunities for us to be the person that we want to become in this new space now. Last year I talked a lot about what these new spaces are doing for us, and Spirit said back then, this was probably a year ago around this time last year, Spirit said that, the journey is going to be rough. It's not ever going to be easy. However, once we reach that destination, it's going to be tailored to our needs. It's going to be tailored specifically to us and what we need in that space, So if you've been worried and or having a little bit of anxiety about things that are coming or how they're coming, just allow yourself to be present and open to receive, because you might not even be aware of the things that you need, and Spirit is trying to provide that for you. Spirit is trying to put you in a space where you are releasing the need for control and or expectations, for you to be able to, okay, I understand, all I have to do is be, and especially recently with the new moon in Taurus, a lot of manifestation is about you being able to relax so you can attract. You know, there is a certain amount of action that you can apply, a certain amount of, motivation or, assertiveness, but not getting up so much and forcing things. Allow the universe to create that behind the scenes action for you, and my guides right now are showing me the Three of Pentacles, which is collaboration, teamwork. And for me as a reader, the Three of Pentacles is like, your ancestors, your spirit guides orchestrating things behind the scenes for you to bring things in for you in this physical world, it's like you're on the stage and they're behind the curtain, kind of like, producing everything about the play, right? Producing everything about this simulation that we're in. So I feel like May right now is we're just closing out some things, and especially because the full moon in Scorpio on the 1st really triggered a lot of things inside of us. It's like we're starting to get a better understanding of, oh, wow, I understand why I'm triggered now. I understand why I did that. We're doing the shadow work or needing to do some inner child healing or, bringing some type of balance to our masculine and our feminine energy now, where it's like, okay, now I have a better understanding of what this is and what it looks like and why I need to detach from it, heal from it and move on, right? So just allow yourself to continue having that experience in the month of May. Continue allowing yourself to continue learning, unlearn and relearn life as much as you can, because, we just think that we have an understanding of how life works and we really don't. We really have no idea as to the things that were kept from us, the unknown, the things that we don't allow ourselves to give ourselves the permission to know. And in May, I feel like is bringing us full throttle into that now. May is allowing us to see fully, okay, now I have a better picture, and especially in Gemini season too. Gemini season is a lot about, it's not just about the duality, but, and that's another thing I wanted to mention too in Gemini season, because it is about duality and polarity. You might get triggered around the people that are currently in your life at this time, only because they're going to be a reflection of you. You know what I mean? So if you're being triggered, you might have to look at yourself and be like, you know what? I think I might have that same quality and learn how to, learn how to work through that. And then when you are understanding, there might be people, places, and things you still need to release out of your life at this time. And if that is, you're also going to, attract the people, places, and things that are meant to be in your life at this time, and especially in these new spaces, as the collective is growing and healing, it's going to be important that we are, surrounding ourselves with not only the support and the resources and the connections that we need, but having those intellectual conversations that, you wish you can talk about things too with certain people, but those people would look at you like you're weird and a little nerdy. And, now we're starting to call that soul family in, that soul tribe in, where we're able to have those connections and do weird out the world things. And they're not going to look at you like you're crazy. Right. And also Gemini season is also giving us a healthy way of expressing ourselves, a healthy way of, having better communication, which is probably why I was called to come and do a live today. This is my first time doing a TikTok live. So, I've never done this before, but I'm putting myself in this space to be able to do it. Spirit is saying, there's a lot of things coming up and things need to be talked about. Right. So just continue doing the healing and continue going into that space where you where you're doing the shadow work and actually getting a better understanding of yourself, right? Getting a better understanding of things. And not only that too, but because this week is very big on mental clarity, like huge, pay attention to your dreams, pay attention to that, because that's been coming up for me for the last week. Like I'm getting these characters in my dreams that are representing archetypes. So it's helping me have a better understanding of what's currently going on in my waking life. And, I'm getting like these symbols in my mind and I'm looking them up and it's making more sense as I'm moving along. And I promise you that when you give yourself the permission to dive deep, you start getting the confirmation that like, okay, you got that. Now we're going to give you another piece of the puzzle so you can move on, right? So just allow yourself to keep paying attention to your dreams and, keep being present. There's a lot of anxiousness around what we want to manifest or where we hope to be, but being present is going to help you attract that. Being present is going to help you, magnetize all of those things to you as opposed to you just, forcing things left and right. And we're actually currently not in the space for us to be doing that. So just, disclaimer, don't be getting up and trying to be impulsive or force anything at this time. You know what I mean? Gemini season is very analytical. So there's a system, there's a process behind it, especially if you are expressing yourself artistically, really think about how you want to be able to do that, through art, fashion, music, content creation, whatever it is. Allow yourself to fully think of how you want to represent yourself, how you want to be reflected out into the world, So yeah, when we come to that full moon in Sagittarius on May 31st, this is closing out a cycle. This is closing out a huge portal. Okay. And then because we're in Gemini season right now, it's also helping prepare us for Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde will be next month around summer solstice. So just kind of pay attention to that. Okay. Mercury retrograde will be, I think it'll be already in its 2-week shadow period by the time we get to summer solstice. Okay. And that's going to be real big too, because I feel like the collective right now, whether you are man or woman, there's a lot of need to be healing around masculine energy, around your masculinity, just in terms of, a lot of us being tied in this patriarchal system, that we have a lot of toxic masculine traits about us, whether you're a man or a woman. You know what I mean? You could be, if you are a man, I'm not coming for you. I'm just saying, if you are a man, you might have some distorted mindset or distorted beliefs around your masculinity. And if you are a woman, you probably are hyper masculine. You've probably been hyper independent or trying to force things and do things, and your action has been too masculine. You know what I mean? And so as we are coming to the summer solstice, there will be a need for masculine healing, only because the sun energy is masculine energy, and once we come to that summer solstice, things will come to us in a way that we'll be enlightened, or we'll have a better understanding as to why we were called to even heal our masculinity in the first place. When we come to summer solstice, that'll be the first day of Cancer season. Cancer season is the mother of the zodiac, right? So now we're in this space now, especially in Gemini season, where we have to bring balance to things, and because the sun is representing the masculine energy and the Cancer is representing that feminine energy, by the time we come into Cancer season, we're going to be able to blend those two together, right? And Cancer season is all about, family, home, protection, and sometimes your ancestry and your lineage. You know what I mean? For me, Cancer season has always been about matriarch energy. So your matriarch ancestors, connecting to, your loved ones who were women, your grandmother, great grandmother, your mother, your aunties, whatever that is, connecting to them in a way that is going to help you have a better understanding of your ancestral memory. That's your mtDNA, your mitochondrial DNA, your mother's all the way back to the first woman that started your bloodline. And I feel like that's exactly what's happening for us while we're in this Pluto retrograde, because it's generational, right? We are needing to do that, dive into that ancestral memory so we can have just a better understanding of how to heal the things that we need to heal, So, I'm going to get into the cards. I'm using Modern Witch Tarot today. And we're just going to see what comes up for the collective. And if you haven't already, please, follow me and like and share and save all of my videos. I try to post as much content throughout the week to interact with you guys. This week, I've been talking a lot about mental clarity. My previous videos, I did talk a lot about Pluto retrograde and how it pertains to the game Assassin's Creed. So if you've ever played the game Assassin's Creed, you kind of understand, exactly what we're diving into with this Pluto retrograde. And just giving yourself the permission to, have a better understanding around your communication, how you can work on your throat chakra, how you can work on things, giving you, a better skill set and expression. I got some cards on the floor. I'm going to pick them up, but I feel like this is also a common theme just because it's come up for me. So I know it's probably come up for a lot of people too. The Alta Major chakra in the back of the neck. I feel like this is really big now because the Alta Major chakra, I've been doing a lot of research on it. And like back in the time of Atlantis, this was like, it's directly connected to your throat chakra and your third eye. But the Alta Major in the back of the neck was really big in the time of Atlantis, helping you stay connected to the cosmos and, to your celestial family. And over the years post Atlantis, if you understand what happened with Atlantis, there was a great divide, right? And over time, the Altus Major has been obstructed. So there's a lot of distortion around humans and our mindset when it comes to this 3D reality, this matrix or the simulation that we're in. So a lot of people who are either psychically attacked, or, have these encounters with these negative entities, they always come through the Alta Major first, right? Because at one point it was very divine and it was very sacred. That is like a sacred part of the chakra system, and now that a lot of us are, coming into higher forms of consciousness, the earth right now is splitting, right? There's like 3D and 5D happening, and a lot of other people are even ascending past 5D, but most commonly everybody's talking about this 5D ascension. And what is happening is, the 3D and the 5D is splitting. So we have old earth and we have new earth. And if you are still operating in the 3D where you're just worried about things, you're still in fear, all of that, you're going to stick on that 3D plane and not allow yourself to evolve and transcend. And then those of us that are coming into this 5D now, it's like we are changing our consciousness and our mindset, right? And that is where the Alta Major comes in, because now the Alta Major is actually evolving and bringing us back into the space of higher dimension that we're coming into. It's like it's evolving back to the time of Atlantis when it was operating at its optimal best, right? And so as we are transitioning into these new spaces, the Alta Major is giving us clarity on, making us remember all of the suppression, the suppressed emotions, the suppressed trauma. If you have trouble crying, if you have trouble, feeling your emotion, anything like that, especially those of us who've experienced like abuse and trauma, we survived like hardships, like for real hardships, that Alta Major really shut itself down. You know what I mean? And it's directly tied to the vagus nerve also, which is the nerve that helps you activate and regulate your nervous system, it activates your parasympathetic system. So as you are allowing yourself to even do the healing, when you are tapping into this vagus nerve or this Alta Major, the only way to move past it is, the only way to clear it and balance it and for it to be open again is you have to work through all the things that, shut it down in the first place, and this could even be past life. This could be, suppressed memories from past life. And, doing the past life regression. Past life regression is nothing more than you sitting in meditation and, allowing that information from your Akashic records to come through into you so you have a better understanding of some of the things that you went through in that past life, only because that could have been hindering you and you brought that here in this life. And now there's just some things that you haven't learned or got past or healed from that, it was brought with you in this incarnation. And so tapping into that Alta Major is really going to help you just regulate yourself, right? And I've been reading up on it and doing so much research on it because I'm learning how to become a somatic coach now, as I'm learning to do my certification for the breathwork facilitation, it's like, it makes a lot of sense as to why it's coming up now, because the collective is getting more information on regulating your nervous system, activating your vagus nerve, Now that's not going to heal or take away the fact or, unvalidate the fact that you went through hardships, abuse, or trauma, but it's helping you come to a space now where your nervous system isn't bracing for the next impact or bracing for the next traumatic moment. Right. And so many of us are needing to heal from that. Okay. And so as we are starting to come into that space where, we're having a better understanding of our past life, or even the things that we've suppressed over the years, it's giving us a space now where we can be safe and feel more protected than ever, so that we can attract and bring these things in, or, build the foundation for us to create new beginnings and or become the person we always wanted to be. Right. So kind of on your own free time, do some research around the Alta Major chakra and understand what it can do for you. You know what I mean? A lot of people right now, it's like it's coming online, it's activating. And for a lot of you, it's probably already been activated. You probably just haven't tapped into that energy yet. You haven't tapped into the knowledge of what the Alta Major is trying to do for you, right? It's also called the Zeal Point. It's called the Mouth of God. But a lot of that it's just helping us in these new spaces. It's connected to the throat chakra. It's connected to your third eye. So now this is helping you speak your truth. This is helping you express yourself. We're in Gemini season now. It's helping with communication, especially as we're moving into Mercury retrograde. Mercury is currently in Gemini in its home sign. So now it's more mental clarity. It's more healthy communication, right? Only because Mercury is a sign of language, right? It's the sign of communication. And so now it's just, us being able to learn how to do things in a better capacity now, like we're probably used to doing things for so long that now your guides or the universe is giving you another piece of like, okay, well, here's something that you can add into your routine, your rituals, your spiritual journey, whatever it is, you know what I mean? So really allow yourself to dive into understanding what your psyche is doing for you at this time, learn the archetypes and learn, as we move on in these new spaces, we're going to embody what these archetypes are, and especially now that we're in spring and moving into summer, when we came into the spring equinox, I talked a lot about the Lilith energy. Especially for women, if you've, dealt with injustice or atrocities done against you in any capacity, Lilith is making you speak up for liberation. Lilith is making you speak up for you to become the person that you need to be in this new space, to have liberation, freedom, and sovereignty in speaking up about things, whether it was done to you or other people. You know what I mean? So really allow yourself to use that throat chakra and speak up, as much as you can, and it's really those archetypes of like Kali Ma, Hecate, Tiamat, Lilith. It's like the dark feminine aspect, the shadow parts of yourself that are rising and coming to the surface, right? And I love this a lot for us because as we are coming into these new spaces, a lot of us need to understand why we've suppressed things for so long. And your shadow is not appreciating the suppression. So now it's upset or it's wanting you to speak up on something. So as we're moving into these new spaces now, it's like that energy is not here to bring destruction. It's here to bring restoration. Right. And if you understand the manifestation of Kali Ma, she didn't just become manifested into the physical to destroy demons. That wasn't her purpose. She didn't come here to spew negative energy onto everybody and to kill people. It was to end injustice or end toxicity that was happening in this world, to bring restoration into this plane. Right. And especially if you think about Lady Justice with the scales. She's a woman because women, that feminine energy brings divine order and justice. You know what I mean? And that's what we're being called to do at this time. Most especially with Pluto retrograde, because by the time Pluto goes direct, we'll be in that Libra season, which is the cosmic scales, which is the Lady Justice energy. So as we're in this space, we're learning a lot about restoration, karmic justice, karmic retribution, karmic balance, and all of that, you know? And especially for a lot of you who are coming into awakenings right now. And I don't want to scare you or anything, but there is going to be an aspect or quality of you that is going to be important for you to take accountability, and knowing that if there were things that you've done in the past, you might have to take accountability for that, and know that you might have to go through the repercussions of that before you can come into a space of learning and understanding what this journey is fully doing for you. You know, not avoiding what you have to face, not avoiding what you've done to people in the past, including yourself. You might have to take accountability for self-abandoning, or allowing yourself to be in these spaces where you are tolerating what people have done to you for so long, especially if you've been abused and you've gone through trauma. You've been watered the fuck down, and this time that we're in is not, it's not required anymore. You know, we are pulling away from the feeling of being watered down, or I'm going to put myself on a back burner to make other people feel comfortable. And that's not what authenticity is, right? Authenticity is allowing yourself to be your truest form, whether people don't like it or not. You know what I mean? And so now, just really understand that, you know, as you are healing, you're going to come to these dark spaces where it's going to be really difficult, or it could be really hard taking accountability, or coming to the realization that, wow, I might have done some fucked up things to people, places, and things, and I have to get right within myself before I can move on and start manifesting or having a better understanding of this world around me, you know? And I went through it too, you know? I had a tough life, but I also used to do a lot of fucked up shit to people, places, and things. And I had to pay for that repercussion. I had to go through that cycle of, you know, my karmic debt, and understanding that I can't be that vibration anymore. Otherwise, I'm going to keep attracting those people, places, and things into my life. And I think that right now, that's what May is doing for us, you know, since that full moon in Scorpio on the 1st. And as we come into the full moon in Sagittarius on the 31st, is bringing us to a completion. And I'm seeing the World card in my head right now, which is the end of the major arcana, the end of the journey, right? The end of you having a better understanding and being rebirthed in its totality, when you are finally able to transcend, right? A lot of the collective the last couple of years has been talking about transformation and ascension. Right now we're talking about transcending, right? Which is taking something and completely coming out of your head about what it is. You know what I mean? Transcending time and space. So yes, you are in this 3D realm and you're having to live here, but your consciousness can be wherever it wants to be. You know, your imagination can take you places, you know? You are being called now to meet your future version of yourself in whatever timeline that is. And I feel like that's what May is doing for us. We could be jumping all of these timelines to meet our future self, right? And I recently had a dream about that earlier this month. And it was probably around the full moon in Scorpio, where I was on a subway. And because, you know, the subway station is underground. So now this is your subconscious mind, right? And I was on a subway, and every time I got onto a train, a subway, and went to the next timeline, as I'm standing on that platform waiting for the train, I'm facing a person from my past where I'm having to, you know, reconcile or rectify or close out certain things so I can get on that subway and move to the next timeline. And ever since then, I've been dreaming about multiple timeline jumps and shifts and all these versions of myself and versions of people that, you know, that I've experienced throughout my life, you know? So pay attention to your dreams, because your dreams are giving you the messages that you need to understand at this time. And so I'm going to pick up these cards, right? And what you have to understand is you have to get out of your head about, you know, certain things that are happening, even if they are uncomfortable, you know, really allow yourself to have a different perspective, or put your mindset in a different perception for you to look at it. Don't judge or be shameful or guilty within yourself, because spirit is doing something for you where it's like holding the mirror in front of your face, especially in Gemini season, because this is duality now, right? This is the law of polarity. This is the law of cause and effect. And now that the mirror is directly in front of you, you're having to face things about yourself. And in that moment, you're going to have these huge realizations, right? Which is this Tower card coming in. sometimes the tower is uncomfortable, and it's like, the universe is putting you in divine intervention, which is stripping things from you left and right, whether you want it to happen or not. Maybe you knew for a long time that these people, places, and things are not meant for you, but you didn't give yourself the courage to be able to actually do it. And now the universe is saying, no, you have a big purpose, or you have a great mission here in this realm. So we have to push you into that space now. And that's what this tower moment is. For some of you, this could be uncomfortable. I'm not going to lie. I went through many tower moments, okay, where I've had things stripped from me. Things just are not meant for you in these new spaces. And you have to accept that, For the other percentage of you guys, for the other half of you guys, I feel like if you've already been doing the inner work, right? If you've already been doing the shadow work, or at least giving yourself the permission to heal certain things around certain areas of your life, this tower moment isn't so uncomfortable. This tower moment is either a pivot, or this is a huge realization mentally. Like, oh my God, that's what I needed to do. Or, oh my God, I had all these pieces and now I'm finally coming to understand it in its totality. And I've gone through that recently as well, where I've had like little pieces of things like, okay, that's what this is. That's what that person did to me. And now that I have all the pieces, I can fully step into my healing process and allow myself to completely undergo whatever spirit is asking me to do at this time. And then we have the Six of Cups. This is, for me right now, this is giving Venus in Cancer. And I'm only saying that because Venus is in Cancer is making you look at something that is uncomfortable and saying like, okay, you should have faced this a long fucking time ago, right? And now that we are coming into having this mental clarity in Gemini season, we're needing to heal around something emotionally. Okay. So this is reflection. This is nostalgia. And because the tower moment is here, this is you probably realizing you need to do some inner child healing, realizing you need to parent your adult self in a way that maybe your parents lacked or failed to do, right? And especially for a lot of us in these spaces now, if you have children, maybe you were raised or brought up a certain way that, you wish your parents could have done better for you, but they were only allowed to do things for you within a certain capacity because it's what they knew or what they were taught, right? And so now you're in the space where parenting your child is going to be different from how your parents parented you, right? And so I feel like this is you, tapping into your inner child, loving up on your inner child and telling your inner child, no, it's okay. Those things were not our fault. We're safe. We're protected now. That time is over. But now your adult self is needing to mother your inner child and mother yourself in this new space. You know what I mean? Especially as we're coming into these deep emotional realizations, and it could be really tough. We're just needing to still grieve and nurture ourselves, And I feel like that's what Venus energy is doing for us. I talked about that the other day in a video where Venus is like big mama energy. You know what I mean? Like, if you've ever had a grandma and like you got in trouble with your mom, but your grandma she don't think that you did anything wrong. And she's going to take you in her warm embrace, give you a peppermint and slip you a 20 and tell you, shh, don't tell nobody. Right. And I feel like that's what Venus is doing for us right now. Like, don't be so hard on yourself or judge yourself or be shameful about certain things, because Venus is pleasurable. Venus is it's so magnetic that it doesn't care about the things that were already done. As long as you're facing it and taking some accountability in it and bringing some type of emotional balance to yourself, it's helping you with the emotional intelligence you need to be able to move forward here. And then you have the Page of Cups, right? This is like good news coming in. But I also feel like for some of you, this is apologies, whether you have to apologize or even accept apologies, right, from other people. But if anything, I feel like because these are sitting next to each other, this is like forgiving yourself and others for the experiences that you've gone through as a child, as your younger version of yourself, right? And I feel like as you are able to grieve and nurture yourself and be vulnerable and all those things, this is really giving like sacral energy, right? And I talked about that earlier this week also. I feel like sacral energy came up a lot around the full moon in Scorpio, right? Especially women, you know, due to a certain amount of trauma and or abuse you've experienced. The womb healing, the sacral energy work right now is really, 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 really big. Only because it's our home of our emotions and how we allow ourselves to create, right? So as long as we're doing that sacral energy work, it's like our sacral energy is the cauldron and we're just putting all of these wonderful things into it like a witch, you know, stirring the pot. You know, I'm going to put some unconditional love in here, and I'm going to put some mental clarity in there, and I'm going to put some goodness and some sweet stuff in it. And this is what's helping us create, right? But as we are getting a better understanding of our emotion, I feel like this is bringing us emotional intelligence, discernment, intuition. And for some of you, you're probably coming into your psychic gift for the first time. That's what this Page of Cups can represent. You know, if you're coming into a spiritual awakening and you're allowing yourself to actually surrender and do the work, you are realizing, wow, this is my gift, or this is my modality. This is what I can use at this time to help me move and navigate these spaces, right? And I feel like with the Page of Cups here, it's very, and I don't want to say it's naive, but it's very youthful, right? As far as you being a child, right? So this could be you, you know, having better emotional balance with you and your inner child, or you doing that with a child. Okay, whether this is your child, maybe your godchildren, maybe your nieces, your nephews, even your grandchildren, whatever that is. I feel like there is a dynamic here around an adult and a child that is needing to be like, you know, have emotional balance in order for you to gain that emotional stability, that emotional support, that emotional availability that is bringing you to your emotional intelligence, which is understanding what your psychic gift is, or understanding what it is that is your superpower, whatever you can do, because the effort, it's different for everybody, right? And this is also resonating with me as well, because the things that I'm going through with my son, I'm also needing to realize and understand that I can't be hard on myself because I was only raised in a certain space, and that was what I've known my whole life. So now I have to unlearn and relearn things all over again so I could teach my son a better way and show that, you know, you don't have to be hard on your kids. You know what I mean? I want my son to be able to trust me and be honest with me, even if he's wrong. When I was a child, I didn't have the luxury to do that. You know, I didn't have the voice to speak up because I thought I was going to be punished or whooped on, or, you know, put into the corner and being in timeout because I was speaking up about something, right? And so I really want my son to understand that it's okay for you to be wrong, but you also have to learn to be honest too, right? And I feel like a lot of us are needing to do that with our inner child, you know, accept things for what they were. And, you know, and I also feel like too, for this could be a message for maybe one or two people. If you've recently moved into like, let's say you've gotten like, you know, an inheritance from a passed on loved one. Maybe you've gotten like, you know, someone's home from your childhood that was inherited to you. This is you being called to do that inner child work. You know, like let's say, for example, like one of your grandparents passed away and you've inherited the house that maybe you grew up in, or maybe the house that you used to spend summers and holidays in. And maybe those summers and holidays were a little uncomfortable, but you liked going there because maybe the kids in the neighborhood were your friends, or maybe the activities you used to do, whether it was camping or going to the beach, was a fun, memorable time of your childhood. But being in this particular house might have been uncomfortable for you. It might have been very strict, right? It might have been, you felt like you were cut off from being your true self as a child, right? And if this is resonating with you, I'm feeling like, you know, make this space a home now. Because even though it was a home, even though it was occupied by other people earlier in your life, maybe it didn't feel like a home due to the energy of it being just real, like people are just like real strict and maybe hyper masculine, like I spoke of earlier, right? So if you've come into inheritance where you've inherited a home that you remember as a child and it was really uncomfortable for you, work on making that house a home now, you know, especially now that Venus is in Cancer and we're moving through these seasons and coming to Cancer season. Cancer season is about family and home, protection, and all of that, right? So yeah, I feel like that is a message for just a couple of you guys. If that had recently happened. And also too, with the Page of Cups, this is a gift here. The universe is offering you something, and I'm also getting too, because there's a fish in this cup, right? It's like that story from the Bible where you teach a man how to fish and he'll never starve. I feel like the light bulb just came on for a lot of you. You know what I mean? I feel like the light bulb just came on for a lot of you. Okay, so it's saying my live is going to end here in a couple minutes. So I'm going to try to wrap it up. Hold on. I'm going to try to wrap it up here, and I might even come back on. But the next two cards we have is Empress and the Hangman. And I love this for you guys a lot because this is that Venus energy I just talked about, right? And then the Hangman having a different perspective or a new perception about something that is coming in for you as far as this mental clarity, this aha moment, this breakthrough, right? But with this Page of Cups here, it's like the universe is teaching you how to do something so you will always be provided for. Going back to that story in the Bible of God teaching someone how to fish so that they never have to go hungry. They never have to starve, right? But that's what this is. It's like, it's a spiritual gift or something that is coming to you that is allowing you to be like, oh, wow, I've had this skill set this entire time. So this is how I can provide for myself, especially in terms of you wanting to become like an entrepreneur and maybe pull away from your 9 to 5. That's been coming up a lot for the collective this week. But with this Empress and this Hangman energy, this is really you coming into a space now where you're having mental clarity around things that is helping you be regulated, helping you sit very pretty in this space now, right? And especially since the new moon in Taurus, that's what this is giving here with this Venus energy, right? It's really allowing you to be the god or the goddess that you are. You know what I mean? And especially if you are a man, it's helping you tap into that feminine part of you to have that vulnerability and that, emotional availability for either yourself or for others. You know what I mean? And I love the Hangman here too, because you see how her crown chakra is lit up. It's an aha moment. It's the same as these. You know what I mean? There's a crown here and her crown chakra here is being lit up. And also too, with the Hangman, this could be a sacrifice too. So in this new space, you might have to sacrifice something in order to come into a better understanding of something, in order for you to be able to manifest things that you want in your life currently at this time, and I like that a lot. The things that we have to sacrifice in order for us to come into new spaces. You might have to sacrifice the old version of yourself, your old life, the people, places, and things that no longer resonate with you in order for you to be this magnetic, this abundant, and I'm also seeing too that a lot of people's crown chakras are like fully not only are they coming online, but they're being like recalibrated to help with your upper chakras outside of you. Especially your 8th chakra. What is that? Your soul star chakra. That's what I'm seeing right now. It's like gold. And gold could also be a theme for the collective too. That's been coming up for like me and a couple people this week. Lots of gold. That also ties into the Alta Major chakra that I was talking about earlier too. But yeah, I feel like the chakras in the head right now are being recalibrated in order for you to come into what the upper chakras are doing for you. That's a part of your ascension. That's a part of your transcendence. Like, the very basic is the 7 chakras. And then as we ascend and move up, we come into all these upper chakras that are outside of us as we transcend and move into these higher densities. You know what I mean? So just really pay attention with that, especially if you're having like uncomfortability in the head, headaches, stuff like that. It's probably just, chakra recalibration. And especially with the solar storms and all of that, we're getting like these light codes that are needing to be integrated into our physical body at this time too. So, that's kind of like a reminder also. But I like this energy a lot. It's giving lots of mental breakthroughs, right? And just really allowing yourself to be like brand new. Allow yourself to nurture yourself in a way that you're still a child. Do that inner child healing. Make sure that you are finding new ways to help balance your emotion, having a better understanding of it, and really grasping some of the things that you've experienced in your childhood, in your early life, even your past life. This summer is probably going to be really nostalgic for you guys. School's ending, graduation parties are coming up, family's going to be together, especially when we come to Cancer season. There's going to be quality here about family that is needing to be refined or needing to be healed in order for you guys to like have a better connection, a better, a new meaning of what family is to you. Okay. So yeah, I hope that resonated with you guys. And you can always contact me for a personal reading. It's tarotflow777 at Gmail. Or you can message me here on Instagram, or I'm sorry, TikTok. And please go to my channel and if this resonated with you, if you're seeing me for the first time, go back and you're welcome, Cherie. Thanks for watching. Go back on my page and, go back and watch some of the videos that I've recently posted, because all the things that I talked about are based off the videos that I recently posted, just to kind of come here and give you a better understanding in its totality. Okay, so I hope you guys have a great weekend. Have a safe Memorial Day weekend. And, I hope all of you guys have a great weekend. And, I hope you guys get the mental clarity that you're asking for, because this week is giving mental clarity. It's giving mental breakthroughs. Okay, so I will talk to you guys later. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.